time for box 18, and yes, the team that is going to drop from that 9 point advantage, Arsenal, fighting on just two fronts this season, just lost their game at home against Bournemouth, 2 goals to 1. Lose to Manchester City in the Carabao Cup final, lose to Southampton in the FA Cup final, and today, massive drop of point from Arsenal against Bournemouth, and they've thrown the Premier League title wide open again to Manchester City. For Manchester City to come and grab absolutely shambolic performance from the Gunners in today's game. Yes, they lost today's game to Bournemouth 2 goals to 1. Good evening to you. Welcome to Box 18 on 94.5 Open Radio. I am Banky O. All right, so let's start from games played yesterday. We had one game in the Premier League between West Ham United and Wolves. The game ended 4 goals to 0 in favor of West Ham United yesterday against Wolverhampton Wanderers, and they took themselves out of the relegation waters with 2 goals from two different players. Former Arsenal defender Mavropanos, which is the one scoring for Arsenal, when he scored twice for West Ham United yesterday, and we also saw 2 goals from Valentin Castellanos in the 66th minute, and also in the 68th minute. Within 2 minutes, he got 2 goals for West Ham United against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Mavropanos was started in the 42nd minute with the goal, also ended it in the 83rd minute with a second goal for West Ham United, completely destroying Wolverhampton Wanderers 4 goals to 0. Real Madrid lost more advantage and challenged Barcelona for the Spanish La Liga title after they drew against Girona in a 1-1 match yesterday. Real Madrid scored in the 54th minute. It was Federico Valverde's turner in the 54th minute, and 11 minutes after, there was a thunderous equalizer from Thomas Lemar. Yes, in the 62nd minute, the game ended 1-1. Advantage Barcelona as they play Espanyol in today's game. And the Bundesliga 2-2 between Augsburg and Hoffenheim. No one could decide to go home with 3 points in that match. The game ended in a 2-2 draw. First 2 goals was scored by Augsburg in the game. And the first half, Claude Morris scored in the 11th minute, and Michael Gregorich with a second in the 14th minute. Before the end of the first half, we had Robin Ranak scored in the 35th minute for Hoffenheim. Then we had an equalizer from Buzumana Ture. Yes, Buzumana Ture scored in the 42nd minute. The game ended in a 2-2 draw. No goal scored in the second half after 4 goals recorded in the first half. As Romantua Pat Pisa, we saw a hat-trick in the game yesterday, and one man that left Aston Villa to come and play for AS Roma, Donny Malen. He scored in the 3rd minute, in the 43rd minute, and in the 52nd minute. Yes, the game ended 3 goals to 0. No reply from Pisa. AS Roma tore them apart. Right for the game between Paris FC and AS Monaco. Yes, we told you last night that Paris FC led and eventually won against AS Monaco. The game ended 4 goals to 1. We had 2 goals from Jonathan Ikone. Moses Simon assisted him for the first. Ciro Mobile scored the second goal. Then Jonathan Ikone scored in the 24th minute to complete his brace. Later in the game, Luca Kolyosho scored in the 74th minute. They completely destroyed the AS Monaco in the game, 4 goals to 1. Marseille also got a comfortable win against Metz. The game ended 3 goals to 1. First goal was scored by Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and assist from Mason Greenwood in the 13th minute. Then his goal was ruled out for offside in the 32nd minute. Aubameyang couldn't get a brace. Then Mason Greenwood assisted Igor Pixel in the 48th minute. So at that point in time, Marseille were leading 2 goals to 0 against Metz. Metz reduced the tally to Gregory Shikivali in the 49th minute. Then there was a late goal in the 93rd minute by Hamed Junior Traore, and Amin Guri assisted him for that 3rd goal. Comfortable win for Marseille. They got that over the line, 3 goals to 1. All right, after yesterday's victory between West Ham United beating Wolverhampton Wanderers 30 goals to nothing in that game yesterday, beating them 4 goals to nothing in that game yesterday, that took them to a very comfortable position, a bit comfortable, leaving that relegation position for the first time in a lot of months. Yes, they have 32 points in the 17th position right now. Jared Bowen talked after the game, and Neo Santo also celebrated his players for securing that maximum 3 point in a very astonishing fashion against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Let's get to hear from Jared Bowen, talk about that win, and Nudo Espirito Santo also.
Coming out and speaking tonight when you're on the back end of a 4-0 win and out the relegation zone, which we knew what was at stake before the game. I think first half was a cagey game. I think there's a lot of nerves, understandably, a game of the magnitude, but in football there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows in games. It's about sticking together as a team, and then showing our quality like we did in the second half, I think. Yeah, and you play before everyone else around you plays. And people always say, "Oh, I don't look at the results," but everyone looks at the results in the position that you're in. All you can do is cliche, you focus on yourself. All we have to situation that we don't to face up to it. Tonight was about facing up to it. Like I said, there's going to be different moments in the game when they'll be difficult, but we're sat here now with a 4-0 win at home. Yeah, and I just try and put the ball in an area, trust that the runs are going in there. Dinos has got great timing. From the corner, we want to be a threat. He nearly got into that one. And then when the ball came out, it wasn't pretty in terms of my touch and stuff, but I think as soon as I got half the yards, as a winger like me, I just want to put the ball in the box and make something happen.
It was a bit like the Man City one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Great header, crashes it off the bar. Yeah, look at those neck muscles.
The timing that he's got and the leap that he's got, honestly, it's incredible. And yeah, that first goal always settles you a little bit going into half time, 1-0 up.
And definitely a corner.
All right, delighted Nuno Espirito Santo made sure his team got all 3 points against Wolverhampton Wanderers in a very sweet fashion. 4 goals in the game, adding to their goal difference, adding to the advantage, because at the end of the season, it might come down to the number of goals that you're able to score against the smaller team, or teams also trying not to get relegated, like West Ham United versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. This is Nuno Espirito Santo talking about that win yesterday at the Olympic Stadium.
Extremely happy. I think all of us deserve an evening like this special. Our fans on the stadium today was amazing, bouncing with energy, helping the team. Even the hard parts in the first half was tough. We didn't find spaces, the game didn't flow, but they were there. And I think after the break, really improved. It changes everything, changes the dynamic of the halftime talk. The players keep their calmness and understand. And they did an amazing second half. Much improved, not only on the ball, but also off the ball. The way we stop Wolves from breaking us in the middle was positive. Yeah, I think we played many times before the injuries with this shape and with these players. Too bad it didn't follow and we continued. But I think we still have time to improve the way we want to do things under this shape. Yeah, this is more important. Sometimes the off the ball, the hard work. All the team was spot on. I think they are becoming, they know each other better, so the communication has improved a lot. I think also the help of the fullbacks, especially when they put the big striker and putting balls in the box, created some issues, but the team was okay. Yeah. We spoke after the game, and the way we did it, we proved ourselves that we cannot give up, and that was the team spirit from the beginning. Never give up. We are in the fight. We always want higher standards, but football, we have to understand sometimes we have to step back and then react. I think after Sunday, we realized how we wanted to do things. It's not always with the anxiety. Sunday was the beginning of the game. We showed today much more composure, much better passing, better controls of the ball. And I think the stadium played a big part. Even when the good things were not going well, we lost a couple of possessions, but immediately see the noise of the player reshape and go again. So thank you for them.
All right, for Arsenal, yes, it's time to talk about what happened in that game against Bournemouth. Yes, later today. We also have the game between Liverpool and Fulham, but Arsenal were beaten at the Emirates Stadium today by AFC Bournemouth. It was a celebratory match for Bournemouth, because after that game, the fans were ecstatic. They enjoyed every moment of the game, and they were in that game for as long as possible. You look at the head-to-head between Arsenal and AFC Bournemouth; it's usually very tight between the two teams. This season, Arsenal went to the Vitality Stadium to beat Bournemouth 3-2. It was a very tight game, and Bournemouth came to the Emirates and picked up that revenge at a very bad time for Arsenal. Last season, Bournemouth won at the Emirates against Arsenal. Also, in fact, last season they took 6 points off Arsenal and dented their title hopes. And this time around, they've set the gap. They've made the difference. If Manchester City go ahead to beat Chelsea tomorrow, they will reduce the point tally to 6, and they wait for the killer game at the Etihad Stadium against Arsenal. So this is a major talking point in the running to win the Premier League title, and especially for Arsenal trying to cross that line, get over the line for the first time in 22 years. This is a bad time to lose to Bournemouth, and this is the third loss for Arsenal in 4 matches. The game in the Champions League against Sporting Lisbon, it was a struggle until they were able to find a way to win that game in the 92nd minute. But this time around, there was no savior for them. They lost helplessly to AFC Bournemouth today, and that game ended 2-1. Four-star super goal from Krupi. Yes, he scored in the 17th minute. Eli Junior Krupi scored in the 17th minute for Arsenal. Then Victor Gyökeres scored a penalty after the handball in the 35th minute. We know when it comes to penalty business, Gyökeres doesn't miss. Lex scored in the 74th minute. I can say it was against the run of play, because Arsenal were trying to build momentum, trying to see how they can, get the goal, try to create chances. We saw Martinelli came in for Leandro Trossard, Max Dorman came in for Noni Madueke, and finally Berechi Eze also came in for Kyle Havertz, because they lacked creativity in the middle of the park. And when they were trying to find their rhythm, trying to build up play, you see at Bournemouth in the game for as much as possible, and that goal was as easy as possible. They picked Arsenal's defense like the key and the lock. It was so easy to pick apart Arsenal defense in today's game, and Alex scored their winning goal for AFC Bournemouth. They scored in the 74th minute. Arsenal had 20 more minutes to find time, to find momentum, to find energy from the fans at the Emirates Stadium, but they felt so bad they couldn't get an equalizer into this game. The game ended 2-1 in favor of Bournemouth, and Arsenal will have to suffer for that. Let's get here from Alex Scott, who scored the winning goal for Bournemouth against Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium.
Oh, yeah, really good. Obviously, we knew coming here, the team they are obviously top of the league. They're having an unbelievable season. But we want to, one up that and go as well as we can. We've been unbeaten for a while now. Not as many wins, so to come here and get the 3 points is, yes, big statement. Sums them up. David Brooks said it's tapping, and Hilly said it's a worldie. So, yeah, that sums the pair of them up. Yeah, good finish. I think I was playing deeper a lot today. About a minute before I got moved more advanced, and then popped up in the goal. Right as the top keeper, so I waited a little bit and saw he went one way and put it the other. So yeah, good finish from me. Obviously, really happy with that. I need to add more goals to my game, so yeah, really happy. Yeah, I'll have to watch it back. I think it was a good bit of play. Brooksy and Ever just flicked it on, and the gap was massive to run into. So maybe a bit of fortune, but being in the right place at the right time, that's how you score goals. So yeah, really pleased with the goal. Yeah, it's massive. Like you said, finally turned it into a win against the best team in the league. So yeah, obviously really happy with that. A really hard place to come. Their fans were really good today, as were ours, and they really pushed us on in the second half there. It definitely helped attacking this end to get that goal. But yeah, obviously we're really happy with the points, and we really want to kick on now and finish high as possible. No, it's not really. We know how close it can be. I think between where we were 13th and 14th and 7th, 8th is really tight. So it's down to us to keep winning games, keep getting points, and we'll see how far we finish at the end of the season.
Yeah.
right, so let's get to hear from Victor Gyökeres. Talk about that loss, that harrowing, that painful, that angry loss to Bournemouth. Harrowing loss to Bournemouth in today's game. Victor Gyökeres got the equalizer for Arsenal at some point in the game, but eventually they threw all that point away and couldn't even get one. Let's get to hear from him. Talk about the loss today before we hear from the coaches. Talk about the victories and also the defeat.
Much better in both halves, really. I think, yeah, we didn't control the game well enough, and then, yeah, they're a good side. So, yeah, when they get some chances, yeah, they will make it difficult for us, and then, yeah, we had to do better there, and then, of course, attacking wise, create more, I think. Yeah, I think we had a good feeling before the game, and then during the game, I think, yeah, we were ready for everything. But then, yeah, they made it difficult for us, and I think we made it difficult for ourselves during the game. So, yeah, that's why the result is what it is. Yeah,